Hi, everybody. It's 1 o'clock and it's time, well, a little bit after, it's time for Tech Connect. So welcome to our second day. I'm so excited to have you all here. We've got a great afternoon with some great presenters and a wonderful panel with some incredible people. So we're happy you're here today, and we're going to kick things off with a wonderful, I think, exciting presentation with one of our great platforms with Dyna Connections and ConnectMLS. And I see Allie here. Are you here, Allie?
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
So excited to see you. I wish we were live.
I
Oh
know.
my goodness. Good to
Me
see you.
too.
How have you been, Allie?
Good. How about you?
I've been doing great, and it's so awesome. We have this capability to get together on Zoom, and oh, we got two Allies there. But it's great to have you here with us, and I'm really excited to have you present today our wonderful platform. I want to say it's new, but it may be new to some, but it's not new to Bridge MLS. So I am going to go ahead and turn that over. I see Carmen, if you can go ahead and remove anybody who's not supposed to be here, and let's go ahead and make Allie our feature speaker today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video. Take care, Allie.
Thank you.
And
So good to see you.
you too, darling.
And thank you all so much for having us. Like Dyna mentioned, my name is Allie, and I oversee the marketing and training at Dyna Connections, and we are the providers of ConnectMLS. So what we're going to look at today are some highlights, some things that are already in the system that we just want to draw some attention to. We'll also go over some updates, so some things that are recent to the system that you may not know about yet. And then just for attendees, we'll also take a look at some sneak peeks of things that are not in the system yet, but you guys will kind of get the first view at them. And then with me today, I also have Andrea Gordon, who is a real life user. And we will save some time at the end for her to go over how she uses ConnectMLS. And then also as we go along, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A or chat feature, and we'll leave some time at the end to go over those. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Sorry, just 1 second. I want to share a whole portion of my screen because I'm switching between two things. Okay, we are just going to start here and we will switch between them as we go. Okay. So the first thing I want to touch on is something that makes ConnectMLS really different. It is a full-featured MLS. You can do everything, searches, CMAs, there's a transaction management system, but it also is responsive. It uses responsive design. So what that means is on any device that you use, you'll have access to all of the same features, but the system, ConnectMLS, can detect the dimensions of the device that you're using, and it will adjust the interface accordingly. So if we look at here on a laptop view, there's 3 columns. We have plenty of like horizontal real estate. So it can display all the information that way, kind of similar to what you'd see over here in a tablet view. But then if we look at the phone, this looks really different. So basically these important features that mimic what's up here in the toolbar, search, context, things like that, are still very prominent at the top of the screen. These other widgets become movable widgets here. And the search activity widget becomes a scrollable, like a social media feed kind of, so you can still access everything that you would access from a laptop, but you can do it on your phone. So to show that kind of in real time, we're going to switch over to Chrome. Okay, so this is the live system. You can see up here, this is what you would access if you signed in to your SSO from Bridge. And so I have enough space here, so it's going to show 3 columns, but I'm going to resize this window. It's going to look a little weird for a second, but just to kind of give you an idea. Again, I'm not doing anything with the URL. I'm still on the same site. But now this would be if I were looking at like a tablet in vertical view. I don't have as much space, so it's going to be minimized to these 2 columns. I still have access to all of these features here at the top, but you'll notice that this window here along the right, there's just not enough room for it now. But I can still access all of those features from the menu here. So now I can still get to my clients, service partners, all of that. If I were to move this even more, this would be a little bit more similar to what you would see with a phone view. So again, all of those very important features are here at the top with really easy to use buttons. I still have access to all the different widgets here. If I have an important message, for example, in my bulletin that I haven't read yet, that's highlighted with an exclamation point here. And then the client activity widget, which is very important. That's how any communication between you and a client is recorded there. It makes it really easy for you to talk back and forth, see what they've marked interest in. That instead of having multiple columns, it's stacked vertically. So now I can just scroll through all of that information, haven't lost anything. And then if I want more information, there's this menu bar here, and that provides access to the entire system. So you'll notice I'm not on an app, I'm on the Bridge MLS URL. I'd never need to download anything. I never need to update anything, just whatever device you access ConnectMLS from. It'll adjust based on whatever makes the most sense for your particular device. So as we go through today, I am going to switch between a couple views so you can see what it would look like on a phone compared to your desktop. To do that, we'll just do a quick developer tool there. So again, whenever I do that, I'm not changing the URL, I'm just showing what it would look like on a phone. So we've seen the home page. We're going to switch back and see what that would look like as a search. So I'm going to go over to our search page. Just as a note, I will go pretty quickly through this today. I know you guys have a tight schedule and I want to be cautious with everyone's time, but Bridge MLS has an excellent training department and they do a lot with ConnectMLS. So I would recommend looking to their schedules and using their interactive training if you want some more information. So here's our basic search page. Filters, kind of what you would expect to see, some filters applied. Over here from without opening anything, I can see my previous searches. I can also see all of my auto prospecting searches. So anything I've done, I've set up as like a saved search to run automatically for my clients. I can access all of that here. And then when I switch over to a phone view, you'll see a lot of consistency. So those filters look exactly the same. They will function exactly the same. The difference is without that horizontal real estate now, instead of the filters applied being over on the right, I can just click this menu. Now all of the filters I have are right there and I can easily edit them. Similarly, we had those previous searches that were available in a column that we no longer have. Now I can get to that from this icon. So it's the same icon that we saw earlier, just without the words because there's not so much space. And now I can see my previous searches. I can go over here to auto. These are all my saved searches and I can click on any search to load its criteria into my phone. Switching back, let's look at some of the results. So these buttons, again, whether on a phone or on the mobile device, they'll always remain at the top for easy navigation. Let's switch over. And now I can see a pretty basic table listing results. Here again, I have enough space. I can scroll over and see like a photo wall. So if I click this image, I will see all the photos in one spot for this listing. Makes it really easy to get a quick snapshot of the listing. And then I can also navigate through a couple different reports. I can see if I want to see some images, I can do a thumbnail report, a gallery, or even a detail view, which we'll look at more in a little bit. And then there's also these action items here at the top. So if I want to select a couple listings here, I can email them to a client, I can print or save as a PDF, save to favorites, even go out to Cloud CMA or our internal CMA, driving directions, all sorts of things you can do with the listings. And then if we switch over, so kind of again, as you would expect, the table view looks the same, it's the same data. I can still scroll over if I want to. I can use my finger and just swipe over to the right where I can access that same photo wall. Here again, there's not column space, so we stack everything vertically and you can really easily go through and get a look at the listing. Or because maybe it's more convenient for you to see all the data at once, I can go to wrap to fit. And now those tables, which were showing horizontally, are stacked again. So I can still access all of that same information. Similarly, I can select a listing and I have access to those same action items. So we looked at email earlier, save to favorites. Here again, where I don't have that horizontal space, I have a menu instead. So if I click on these three dots, Now I'll see all of those same icons with text as well, so you can tell exactly what you need to do, and you can do it from your phone. And then here again, if I want to see the different listing types, those are all available to me in the same top left-hand corner. I'm going to go to thumbnails, gallery, and so on. So that's kind of a look from the agent side, but it's also really important that your clients have access to responsive design. They're very familiar with it. That's what they come to expect just from all the other sites they use. So if we go here, this is my view as an agent. This is what you will see when you sign in. I'm going to switch instead to what a client will see. So my client's name is Betty. She has this portal that was automatically created for her when I added her as a client in ConnectMLS. This is all of my branding. So as an agent, this is my picture, any information I want to share, including links to my socials, my logo, whatever I would like to include is right there. So when she goes to do anything related to her real estate transaction, it occurs in this very branded environment with my information. She has access to a transaction. So if she's buying or selling, she can get all of that information right here without calling me or having to dig through any number of emails. She can also scroll down here. So we saw in the agent side, the client portal, or the client activity widget where we could see what the client was doing. Now as a client, I can come in here and really easily communicate with my agent. I don't have to do anything like as a user that doesn't require much education, just really easy to communicate with the client, with the agent. And then from the agent side, she'll see all of those communications that I have. And then again, similarly, clients are on their phone quite a bit. So if we switch over to the phone view, here's that transaction. I still have my branding. I still have my picture throughout. She can access all of that information. And then if she goes to this menu, here again, she can see the entire system, including anything that you've sent to her, CMAs, flyers, all sorts of financial reports, and so on. So that's kind of an overview of the responsive features that we have. I'm going to switch back. And now we'll look a little bit more in detail at those mobile-friendly reports. So we kind of touched on it for a second, but here you can see it's a pretty modern report, something familiar to clients. And it has headings here at the top that make it really easy to navigate through, find the information that you want to see, and then easily interact with it, send it to your clients, and so on. So you're going to switch back. Okay, so we're back in the live system, and we're going to go back to the agent view. So there's a couple different ways to get to it. I can go to the reports view, and this is basically what we're looking at. Or if I go to a table view and I click on any listing, it will automatically pull up this report. This is our modern report. This is what the default is set to. This is also what our help material is set to. And if you navigate through the different headings, it will automatically go to that section. So let's say I want to go to features. I can get back to the top very easily just by clicking this orange button. Or if I want to compare property details across a number of different reports, I can go to the property section. And now as I click next, it's going to stay on that property section. So I can compare the different property overviews for different reports, or go back up here to the top. And same thing, it'll remember where I'm at in the report. And as I compare across ones, it will show information based on that. If I want to, I can also change the report. So I like the full detail, but if you are more familiar with legacy reports, you can go to here and select legacy report. And this will look kind of more like the classic view. Anything that you select will be remembered until you change it again. So I'm going to switch back to full detail, but if you exclusively like to use this, you can change it here and then it will remember that over your next login. I can see additional information about the listing anytime I click this eye. So now I can see documents, integrations, those action items that were at the top are available there, and I can also pin this. So if I want this information to stay on my report as I navigate through different reports, I can do that. I can do the same pin feature with the report itself. So the default view is to bring it front and center. That's the information you want to focus on. But if you'd also like to see some of this background information, here again, we have this pin button. And now my report's going to be on the right-hand side, But as I navigate through, you'll see the highlight over here on the table. That is updated as I go through different information, and that would be the same if you were using a map or anything like that. And then here again, this will be remembered until you turn it off. So I'm going to turn off the pin feature there and the pin feature here. And then just one more quick thing with the report. We have this client-friendly toggle. So this is especially important now where you may not be with the client in person, but let's say you're doing a screen share, but you do want to go through this data with them. If you as an agent are signed in, you will be able to see confidential remarks, but if you don't want your client to see them, there's a client-friendly toggle. So when I click that, it goes away. This is all public information that's okay for them to see. And now I can go through using my agent login with the client. And then quickly, as you'd expect, everything we just looked at is also mobile friendly, the whole system is. So if I click on a report here, looks pretty much identical. The same headings work the same way where you can jump to showing a property. And then as you navigate between those listings, it will navigate the same way, or you can go to the top. And here again, as you switch between reports, it's going to show what you've selected to view. That additional information is still available there as well. So that is the mobile reports. Switching back. One more thing, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because again, there's training dedicated to it, but the smart bar is available at the top of any screen in ConnectMLS. So if we go back, you'll notice it's here on the phone version. And then from a desktop view, also here, if I go over to my MLS homepage, it is there as well. And it allows you, it's like a Google search engine or search window basically. So if I type in, I know the address that I want to find, I can easily type in my criteria and find it right away. Let's say I want to look up a client. So because this criteria matches a number of different data points in the system, I could go here if I was looking for my client. If I was looking for a listing on Joe Street, that's available right there as well, and even agent information. So that's one way to use it. Another that I think is really helpful, if you click within the empty smart bar, it will show you your recent activity. So this is really great if you're in your house working on a search or client's information, and then you get in your car, but they call. You want to be able to access their information right away. Click within the smart bar and you can go right to Betty. Let's say Betty called. We can go right to her user dashboard and I can work with her from my phone. So I think that covers the things that are already in the system. Oh no, we have a couple more, sorry. Okay, this is a relatively new one though. We're moving on to some recent updates. And this is search for open houses, broker tours, and live stream open houses, especially important right now. So if I go back over here to our live site. So you can get to it from the search menu. If you just click on search, you can add open house as a field. I think what's even easier is if you just hover over search. So you can do that from any screen in ConnectMLS. And if you hover over search and go, sorry, right here to tour open house. And then just as you would do with any other search, you can enter your criteria, but here we have the open house criteria. So you can say must have a live stream or a broker tour. And then let's go ahead and view our results. And you'll see, especially with the live stream, all of this information, all the schedules are available right there. You can click on any entry and then you can see, depending on the type of link, it'll just start it up or let you register or whatever the case may be. All right. The next thing that's fairly new in the system is the ability to search for listings from other markets. So just not only Bridge MLS listings, but things from other markets as well. So switching back. So you can kind of see here with this source color-coded icon, that means if you hover over it, you can see which listing it's from. But we're going to walk it back a step. And if you were just starting a search and wanted to see these listings from other markets, the way to make sure that they're there is to scroll to the bottom of the page. Here where it says data source, you can come in and enter where you would like to pull data from. And then again, as you view those results, It won't look very different if you're just looking at the report. The data is integrated exactly the same way into the system, but you will be able to tell from this color coordinated icon here. So let's scroll through some of them, see if we can get a new one. There we go. So you can see this orange means that it's a bridge listing. Different colors mean different associations, and they're all available right there for you. And then another thing that's available already is a showing time integration. So let's go to a report. If I go here to the showing section, there we go. Right here where it says schedule a showing, this is an integration we've done with showing time fairly recently, where you can just click that button right there and it will automatically take you to where you can schedule a showing for the listing that you're looking at. And then here again, if you're looking specifically for those, you can go to the showing section and click through your different listings until you find one where it's available. And then I believe that takes us to some of the new stuff that people have not seen. Okay, so I will preface this with, we've been using a live site right now, so it's pretty easy to access. We are going to switch over to what's called a staging site. This is not live, it's still in development, so there may be, it may not work quite as quickly as the live site, but just bear with me there. All right. Okay, so what this is going to show are some updates to the mapping system. If you've used the search, you're aware we already have mapping tools in the system, but we just did some usability testing and found some features that could be made a little bit more user-friendly. So that's what we're looking at here. As you can see, this is not your market, so yours will have your data, don't worry about that. But we have these icons here. So what was currently called locate in the system is now going to be called center on, just for a little bit less confusion. And it allows you to center on your results, your current location, your office location. You can type in an address and it will center the map there. Again, this is already available to you, but it's called locate. It will be called center, and that will be the icon that will show for it. It's really helpful if you're standing at a showing, for example, and you want to see other listings nearby or recently sold. You can center on your current location and then run your filters that way. And then additionally, so again, we already have the option to draw shapes, but there's been a couple changes to it. So let's draw a shape. Currently in the system, you draw your shape, click finish, and then you click apply so that you still have that step in between where you can edit your filters. But in the new release, which will be out in the next couple of months, you don't need to do that second step. So as soon as you click finish, automatically your results will act as an overlay, but you still can edit. So if you don't like where this line is, or let's say I want to line up with this railroad track instead, I can go to edit, and then I can move my entire shape where I want it. I can use any of these pinpoints to adjust the shape, bring it out or in. And then just as before, I can do multiple shapes. Any section where shapes overlap will be excluded. So let's say I don't want this area right here. So I'm going to do apply. That will put that shape on there. Let's say I want to do another shape with a 1/2 mile radius, but I don't want these listings to show. So if I put the two shapes over each other and click apply, now those listings are going to be removed, anything overlapping in that section. So again, already in your system, just a little bit easier to use, more user-friendly. Layers will now be indicated with this icon, but you'll still have access to the same ones. You can turn the pins on or off using the pin button. And then hints for the tools are available from this question mark as well. And you can minimize or maximize that menu. And then if I switch over to a phone, again, those icons look identical. You can still use all of the same tools. And as always, you can save a search with shapes included. And then one more thing before we switch over to questions and hear from Andrea. We have a new market trends report that is also, this is a sneak peek, no one's seen it yet, but you will have access to it in the next few months. And it just gives you the opportunity to compare list and sold data, as well as list and sold prices. You can kind of play around with what you want to share, and then you can also share it with clients. So again, this is a staging site. It might not run as fast, but okay, so Fridge MLS data. Yep. We're going to go to reports and then to market trends. And then here you can pick the time period that you want to compare across. So I'm going to do October of last year up until this year, and I'm going to select Oakland and then generate the report. So it'll give you this basic information that you can go through, but then you can also go to Customize View. And so I'm going to select these first two, the number of properties listed compared to the number of properties sold. And I'm also going to look at the average new listing price versus average sold price. When I click OK, I'm going to get some nice, easy to use maps. And then if I want to, I can email this to a client, download as a PDF so I can present it to them in person. You also have the ability, so this is going to compare the number of properties that were listed compared to how many sold across all of these different months. Here on my table view, I have months on this axis. I can control that as well. So if I keep that data the same, but change from horizontal to vertical months layout. Now when I scroll down here, my months are going to be at the top. And then I can also, so let's say I want to compare 2 years, but I don't want 24 months worth of data. I just want to see the beginning and the end. I just want to compare those 2 years specifically. I can go here to Customize View. Oh, sorry. It is actually refined. So I'm going to go back to my initial search criteria. And instead of compare all months, now I will say compare beginning and end months only and generate my report. And now instead of all of those months, I just have October 2019 through October 20. So those are some things that are coming soon that you can look forward to. And now I do want to leave time for questions and most importantly, to switch it over to Andrea. She's a top producer here in your market, and she is with Compass and has agreed to share kind of what she likes about ConnectMLS and how she uses it. So let me switch over to her. Sorry, is that something I can do?
Yeah, we'll get her on right now. One
Okay,
moment.
thank you. And then while they're setting that up, if there's any questions, again, please feel free to submit them in the chat section or the Q&A area.
Hey, I think I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So ask away. You just want me to tell you why I think this is a great product?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Sorry about the COVID hair, and also sorry in advance about my bird in the background. She'll probably start talking because I'm talking. And this is a great product. I've been very, very fortunate in that I've been on the board of directors of the Multiple Listing Service as well as on the committee of the Multiple Listing Service. And we, a long time ago, had your company come in and give us a demonstration of what was possible with this tool. And it is such a robust set of information that you can provide to people. It's really phenomenal. You know, where I'm sure everybody who's on this call has felt sometimes, why can't my MLS do that for me? It's like you guys sat down and thought through how a realtor actually thinks about what they're doing and made it absolutely simple. My favorite aspect of the product is the ability to switch from my iMac to my iPad to my iPhone. It's very, very consistent. And those of you who are on the call who know me know I'm not terribly techie whatsoever. And so if I can do it, then pretty much anybody out there could do it. I love that. I love the map functions. I love the fact that you can see what has sold around a property really, really easily. My favorite part is a really dumb thing. It's that I can figure out the contact information of whatever agent it is that is representing the property immediately. And I can actually see it in a font that I can see on my phone, which becomes an important thing when you want to get a hold of somebody right away. Let's say your client has driven down the street and they've seen a for sale sign on something and they call you up and you're out in the field or at, you know, the grocery store or something and you want to respond immediately. It gives you the ability to connect immediately with whatever product it is that your client is interested in and then figure out a way to best serve their needs right in the field. So I love that about this. It's also prettier than what we're used to. The aesthetics are, people are very engaged in the way things look lately. I notice it's not just utilitarian anymore. You can't just look at things, for specifically the information. It's how fun it is to get that information. And I think that this is beautifully designed in a way that looks fun, sophisticated, and clear on all formats that it's seen in. So I think it's a really wonderful tool. And, we're going to have the ability to totally adapt over to this at Bridge MLS very soon. And I really suggest anybody who has the opportunity, it's right on the front screen. When you go into the MLS, you'll see ConnectMLS right there. Just click on it and take your own tour and take your time to go through it. And see what it's capable of doing. It's a very, very powerful way of connecting with the information you need to provide your clients. How about that?
Thank you. That is amazing. That's so nice to hear. We really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, I mean it. That's why when I had the opportunity to pick what product I wanted to help, talk about at the Tech Connect, and I love this product. I think it's marvelous.
Thank you. That's really good to hear. And a couple of points to what you said. Something that we do differently is we employ a UX UI designer. So her whole background is usability and what makes the most sense layout wise. I think that helps a lot. And then also our CEO was a practicing realtor. He was on his MLS committee, same thing, was frustrated with what he saw, and then had a computer science background and context and just decided to build it. So I think that is something that makes it a little bit different. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really super clear that you guys are connected with the way realtors think. There are so many products out there for realtors where it feels like they never bothered to ask anyone how we do our jobs. And so that's another part of this that is just lovely.
Good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And just before I go, I know we're coming up on time. There's a couple questions in the QA that I want to respond to. The first is about disclosures, where you can see them in the system. So when we looked at that additional information section, right here, whenever you see this icon in the system, if there are documents included, that's where they'll show up. So this particular one doesn't have it, but if we go compare a couple different ones, and here again, I can do the information, save this pin, and then navigate through. If there's a document, it will show up right here in this area. And it looks like Dyna's answered all the other questions in the QA. So with that, I will sign off. Thank you so much for your attention, and thanks for having us here today. We really appreciate it.
And thank you so much for being here. That was great. So thank you, Ellie, and also thank you, Andrea. That was really great to hear from both of you guys. All right. So now we are going to announce the winner of our first raffle. Very exciting. So with this first raffle, the winner is going to be receiving a gimbal for their phone. So that's essentially like a camera stabilizer that you would use. It's kind of comparable to a selfie stick, but a lot nicer and higher tech, as well as a copy of The Art of the CMA, the book by Greg Robertson, who is one of our featured speakers later on. So our first raffle winner, drum roll, is Simon Black. Congratulations, Simon. We'll be in contact with you shortly, and we'll be sending you over both of those things ASAP. So congratulations, and hope you enjoy those things. And so now we are going to introduce our broker panel, who are going to be speaking about the power and value of the MLS and how the MLS benefits your business. So our featured speakers here for the panel are going to be Elias Astuto from Fast Real Estate, Felicia Mares from Abio Properties, Kenny Truong from Fast Real Estate, and it's going to be moderated by Tia Hunnicutt from Coldwell Banker. Welcome, guys, and take it away.
Who's taking it?
Hi, Tia.
Sorry.
Tia.
Sorry about that, guys.
I just didn't know who was taking it.
Tia, why are you Todd Hudson?
How are you? Great seeing everybody. I'm going to turn you up because I can't really hear you. And I've got like 5 Zoom meetings going on in my household right now, but hello, welcome. Well, we're here to talk about the MLS and how we use it in our businesses. And I want to just go ahead and throw out a question to y'all and see what your thoughts are. We know that our MLS has more utility than a Zillow or Redfin or Homes.com. How does it have more value to you when you look at those other websites? Anybody?
Yeah. Well, I think that the most important thing is just that we're getting accurate information. I have had so many clients reach out to me with questions on properties that they see on Zillow or wherever. And there's just sometimes inaccurate information. I know they're syndicated, but a lot of times agents do go in there, or if it's listed by a seller on Zillow, and just input anything. Any person can go on those websites and input whatever they want. So just having something that's only for agents, I think, is really important. And then also the fact that like the MLS keeps track of like what we're all doing, not only for data, but there are certain rules, obviously, that we all have to follow. So I'm not a huge stickler for rules, but I do think it's important that there are, violations that occur and that they stay on top of those things. That way we all make sure that we have the most accurate data as possible.
Elias or Kenny, did you want to chime in? How you find extra utility in the MLS?
That's really hard to follow up. I think Felicia said it really well. Kenny, anything you want to share on that?
Yeah, I mean, like data, but from a kind of different standpoint. I'm a numbers guy when I talk to my clients about pricing and strategy, and I really like how the MLS really lets you break down the data really accurately. The new ConnectMLS, my favorite feature is that little red button on the top right, the analytics, where it actually drop down the price per square foot and then breaks down by like the small size homes, medium, large, number of offers, that kind of stuff. So I have that included every time I'm talking to a buyer and seller. I don't think the original MLS had that, at least in the easy to present format. And then the new cleaner interface is a lot easier to print out on a one pager to bring to my clients too. And I like how you can modify the columns and stagger, have your statuses and pricing. And when you're trying to create a story for clients, have that data presented in a certain way.
I think what Kenny's saying is super important, especially for people like me, who is not naturally a numbers driven person. Like, I am terrible with math. And I shouldn't be saying all this, but like creating spreadsheets and stuff is like my ultimate nightmare. So the fact that it does it all for me is super important. Like, I'm not going to go to Zillow and like ask them to give me data that we have access to on the MLS that's more accurate. And now with all of the beautiful spreadsheets that are coming out, like the one that she just showed with the list price versus the sold price and year over year, and just the fact that it puts it all into like a beautiful spreadsheet for us to make us look like we know what the heck we're talking about, that's a super big value add for me.
And I would agree with that. I think that a lot of companies have templates of, here's our listing presentation that's 47 pages long, right? And at the end of the day, that stuff is great to build the credibility about the company, but it's the data and the numbers that the clients really want to know about. And I always say that we win on data. So being able to pull that data, research that, speak about it, intelligently, and then present to our clients, that's the part that I love. We spend this amount of time on all the fluff about the company, and we dive into the numbers, and so that definitely works to our advantage.
And what do you guys think about everybody's favorite MLS game changer, Rule 8.0, the coming soons now being in the MLS? How has that impacted your business? Have you found utility in that? What has your experience been?
We like it. I mean, it gives us a fair opportunity for all agents to be on the same playing field to kind of promote our listings a little easier. It shows our sellers we're putting a little more effort to get their home. So, and it also gives us some leeway on preparing the home for sale, but still actively getting attention for the home. And with today's market, a lot of people are looking for coming soon properties, and what the average number of offers, depending on the market you're in right now, it is crazy out there. Agents on my team write multiple offers a week and not winning. Kind of like, flashback to, I think maybe 2014, 15, around that time. So having the advantage of being able to get ahead of people helps a lot. If the buyers agents and the seller agents more active and taking that extra step to market, because it's, it takes a lot of extra work.
Yeah, I think the clear cooperation rule is obviously inputted to protect the consumer, which should always be our bottom line, is to make sure that everybody's getting a fair shot. Of course, there are going to be people who are using it incorrectly or using it to their advantage in some ways. And that's why we always have these things that are adjusting along the way. And we always have to be reevaluating. And if people have really strong opinions about this rule, then I would encourage them to get involved in leadership, because that's the only way you're really going to be able to change it, is if you have a true vote and a true say at the table. So the other thing too is like the MLS they protect the buyer's agent's commission, right? They protect us from, they force us basically to cooperate with each other. And all of that is set in stone within the MLS when you're inputting that percentage that the seller is offering. So that's another advantage that we have using the MLS versus Zillow, is like, if anything's being put on Zillow just from a for sale by owner or whatever, your commission is not being protected in that way. So that's a huge value add for MLS and why it's so important to use it. And the fact that, realtors as a group are voting on these things to try to protect us and try to make us forced to work together basically with this cooperation rule.
Love it. And with the pandemic and how quickly the industry had to pivot and, what we needed to be able to conduct our business, how was the MLS useful in that process? Were there particular products or procedures, brokers?
Think, from a positive standpoint and from a negative, I think it was the era of the list Zillas. And if we're going to be completely transparent, I just felt like some of people's manners went out the window during the early stages of pandemic and shelter in place. But we understood where we were at and how serious it was being in a global pandemic. But there was just so many people like our patience went out the window, and like our niceness went out the window. So early on, I saw a lot of this like almost demands, but I understand what we're doing and why we put this out to protect the consumers and protect us. And so early on, it was like a shock to all of us. But I think that it's great, because what it's done is it has eliminated the amount of people that were not serious, that were just looky-loos, that just want to come in because they're nosy neighbors. So it allowed us to really kind of funnel down the people that were truly interested in purchasing real estate. So in some senses, I think that it's been super positive for us, but there was a lot of agents out there that were true sticklers when it came to their confidential remarks in the MLS. That's my thought.
Yeah, we have a few people in the chat. Simon Black is saying that ShowingTime's integration tool is awesome. I would agree with that. I think most people are using Calendly still, because it does take time to integrate these things, right? And I believe it was something that the MLS was already working on before COVID hit. They were already working on integrating some type of tool, and they are constantly adjusting. That's what I love about our MLS, is that they're always thinking of new ways, new value adds. But the ShowingTime is awesome. I've only used it once because most people are using Calendly, but I just thought it was so cool, and it lets you like give feedback to the listing agent, which I think is really important too. And just one more way that we could be cooperating with each other is to let the other agent know like how it went. And it's super easy to like change, and it's all within the system. Like you're already looking within MLS anyways. It's easy just to click that button to take you over to ShowingTime versus highlighting the Calendly link, posting it in another little tab on your computer when you have like 100 tabs open already. And then, I have like 10 tabs of all Calendly links that I'm trying to match up to like make it perfect. So just doing it within the MLS has been really awesome. So for all those listing agents out there, ShowingTime, utilize it. It's a great tool.
Yeah, I like ShowingTime. I like when you call, they know who you are, they know which brokerage you're with. And so, yeah. And now when we go to book an appointment for a showing, there's not a Calendly link or ShowingTime. You're like, that just makes it so much more challenging for a listing agent to try to organize all those calls. I'm like, let me check, like, save yourself the hassle, do either.
That's so funny. Cause like when I call a listing agent, if they like don't have a ShowingTime link or a Calendly link, I'm like, are you doing okay? Like, how are you? Because you must just be swamped with phone calls right now, because you didn't, make it systemized so that you can be a little bit more hands off, because that's not the listing agent's job. Like that shouldn't be their main job, to just sit there and schedule things and make sure that they're, getting appointment times lined up perfectly and all that stuff. Like that's just kind of a waste of your time. So I think that using the systems provided to us is super important.
And that's great. It actually leads me to another question, which is what are some of the other MLS integrations that you're getting a lot of utility out of? For example, Box Brownie, some of the other things that we just get as a result of being part of Bridge MLS.
I mean, Box Brownie is pretty amazing. We've been using them as a partner for our business for a year and a half now, but it's kind of cool that we're seeing it become the norm for our area, because it's really hard to market, present a home very well if it's not, turnkey or at least cleaned up.
Felicia or Elias, are there other products or services that you can think of that come?
I think like even just this right now, like even just them putting together Tech Connect and having, agents, this is one more way that we're cooperating, is like people are showing up to these things to hear from other people in the industry and to collaborate in that way. And I think our MLS is constantly putting out new trainings. I know a lot of people have had difficulty learning systems, and there's just so much value there for, and our like chief operating officer is freaking awesome. And like people, they respond so quickly. And if you have questions, like it's super easy just to get help from them. So I think the biggest value to me is like the extra trainings that they provide.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think post-pandemic, I think that this is going to allow us to touch more agents and more of the real estate community via Zoom and be able to record these and be able to share that with the rest of the community. It was not something that we were able to do if you came to a class on a Thursday at Bridge. Maybe there was light attendance, but maybe it was great content. Now I think that we're able to share and collaborate in ways that we've never done. So I think like this will always be a part of how we communicate and how we educate the community. So I'm actually a big fan of this style, and I'm a big fan of doing our buyers consultations like this too. It's helped to catapult our business.
I think,
Elias, do you use Cloud CMA?
Yeah, so I could not see myself doing a presentation and setting up a buyer tour without using Cloud CMA. So I eliminate a lot of the pages. I have it filtered down and really like, the details, the photos, the listing map, and a little bit about myself. But I include that on every single tour that I'm doing. Then I take the links that Cloud CMA sends us. I put those in the notes with the times that we're going, CBS codes, or any of the other information that's needed. And then I hit the client with that and my partner. So that's always in the notes, and that information's there. And I send that Cloud CMA the night before. So there is always that same exact flow. So they get the information, then the data that CMA or that Cloud CMA sends us. We plug that right into the calendar every single time. I don't know how I would set up a buyer tour without it. That's my best friend.
Yeah, Cloud CMA is another game too. With the new updates, Cloud CMA made like 2 months ago with the links now instead of the PDF format or that clunky web version of their thing has been a game changer. So now, like, just when you're running comps, talking to the client, you can easily just drop a quick link in there, and I like it because you can update it live time too. So you need to make some changes to it. You don't have to send them another file. And shout out, early on, you guys did, I think Tina Jones and the rest of the Bridge community did a really great job hosting a lot of those weekly masterminds. I think I missed maybe 1 or 2 only out of the whole set. And to get agents on those panels so frequently is a pretty big deal. And actually would like to see that happen more often when this is less crazy.
Well, that's actually leads to my next question, which is what other kind of products, services, get-togethers would you like to see?
When you say get-togethers, you mean social get-togethers?
I'd love to see you guys.
Right. And that, unfortunately, that's not going to be for a little bit. But as Kenny was saying, a few more mastermind panels. What other kinds of innovations do you think would be helpful in your business that the MLS can provide?
I think when we think about this, like being able to get everyone together and say, how did you find the way, right? We've seen that a lot of people's business has doubled, has tripled, has quadrupled year over year. Our business has grown bigger than we ever thought. Our brokerage has grown bigger than we ever thought. And so I think it's like being able to get that collective wisdom together to say, how did you guys prevail in a time that was supposed to be some of the most trying times in our real estate industry, right? What did you do that was different? And what can we share with the masses and tools? And like being able to build off of, we're talking about internal, within the MLS tech tools, but what are things that are doing outside, and how did technology help you really grow in a time that was a real struggle? I'd love to hear that from other agents and other companies on a panel, on a monthly, something like that, as a mastermind.
It's a great idea.
How you did it.
Anyone else? Any other products or services? It sounds like, you know, it's always amazing to me, all of the products and services that Bridge MLS provides, and it just seems to be innovating at all times. So I know it's hard to come up with something that they haven't.
San Francisco uses like Spark Info. I really, maybe that feature is in class Connect. I haven't found it yet, but where it just lays out zip codes and market share and all that, and it has these little cool graphs, which is right on the front page. So I know a lot of San Francisco agents use it a lot. I wish it was on this side of the bay. InfoSparks, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some things that the other MLSs have that, like, so somebody, I forget who it was, somebody in the chat said that our MLS versus Barrios is like night and day, which is funny because when you go on Barrios, it's like all, you know, kind of old school, like kind of like clunky and simple and not a lot of fancy bells and whistles and pretty colors and stuff. But I really like their like find comparables button. That's like literally right at the top of every single listing, and it pulls up, and it's actually really accurate. Like when I do the comparables on my own versus when I just click the find comparables button, it's super helpful. And if I'm, you know, especially in the day and age right now where like we have to do so much research upfront before we even go and see a property, it's really helpful just to have the system do it for me really quickly. If I'm like trying to eliminate as many properties, like that one's way out of our range, there's no point of us going and seeing it. But then again, Barrios has their list prices and sold prices are a lot more transparent. So it wouldn't work as well for our market. But, and I know that everything that I think of that's like, oh, that would be a nice feature. When I talk to somebody within the MLS, they're like, yeah, we're working on that. And I'm like, okay, like, of course you are. Like, I can't think of anything more innovative than they can, you know, because this is their life, their job. So.
Because I flew to Houston a couple of times for the association events. They have one, I think, top 2 large association in the U.S. and one of the most recognized and tech forward. I think we're definitely starting to approach like that level too with that list of services we're adding. I like how they have really strong on their single agent profiles. I don't even think I don't know any other MLSs that has a feature on their agents showing their sales and connecting to their social media. Because I know most of the agents out there are indies, unless they're with a large brokerage. They might not even have a bio online that's more than like a paragraph. So if MLS can find some way to integrate that and have a site where we feature agents, I think that would be a huge game changer for us.
I love that idea, Kenny. Somebody writing that down. Because I really like, so I was big on like using Paragon and stuff, and they're the one so when you're downloading the different versions of whatever you're looking at over to your clients, I was using the one called Collab Link. I don't know if anybody else uses that, but I like it because it puts your photo at the very top of the page. So you can upload your photo in there, your name, your logo, any of that kind of stuff, and it'll be at the top of your page every time you're sending them MLS listings or your comps or whatever you're sending. But that would be cool if there was like one separate page where it had all your stuff on it. I think that's a huge value add.
And then that page could link to, you know, there's options out there. I just think of the first one I can think of, like pair reputation or something, where you can actually see agents' reviews by other agents. That'll be kind of know who you're working with without searching for that agent on Zillow or whatever websites it is.
Yeah, I like
the data's already there. I mean, it's all, you know, we're all in the MLS already, so it would be much easier than me going and snooping around on a third-party site or by searching. I know, Kenny, you're really good at like finding people on MLS. I'm terrible at that, finding other agents and snooping on them on the MLS. It does help though. It helps you understand where strategies are.
A really cool job of featuring agents, kind of get a little background, like more just like last month, I kind of like someone that had told me, hey, this is what I do. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So now we kind of teach some of our team members to, when you look up a certain agent, maybe look at their past history of their listings in the last 24 months, kind of see how their pricing strategy is. So when you're talking to your clients, you can help them make a better decision. Hey, this agent tends to price 10% under, or you know, some agents price 30% under, but at least you have that conversation and makes your job easier, and they're also getting business done faster.
Love it.
Love it. Since we've all noticed a lot of change in the industry, obviously, even just in the past few months, but looking at what is shaping the industry now, we'll move forward to the forecast in the next question. But what are some of the changes that you've seen, maybe in MLS, but in real estate in general in the last few months?
That's a pretty tall order to fill when you ask that question. I think what I heard in the second month of shelter in place was dominate your digital presentation, right? Be able to meet clients wherever they are and be able to dominate your digital presentation. So we built our buyer's presentation. It's a broad stroke. It's a great overview of the home buying process from start to finish. And being able to incorporate and getting this culture around, yeah, we're usually belly to belly people. We like to sit at a coffee house, like to hold the babies, like to walk the houses. Well, we don't have that luxury right now. So being able to dominate your digital presentation has really helped us, catapult our business. And we train that from the onset because I believe with certainty that doing Zoom presentations are always going to be a part of what we do in real estate moving forward. At least I know that that's something that I'll always have as part of our tools. So I think being able to dominate that digital presentation, that's really what's worked for us in our team's growth.
I think real estate is way less localized now than ever before. Because then with the buyer, migration, wherever it might be, whether it's out state or locally from, San Francisco to East Bay to East Contra Costa, like we're finding ourselves working more markets than ever before. Like currently, I have pending deals in Discovery Bay, in Manteca, in Belmont, in Novato. Those are areas I literally have never sold home before until this quarter. So I think it's making agents stretch outside their comfort zones, and it's making business easier to do for the people who are figuring out ways to do it. And it's actually very challenging because some agents, even on our team, are hesitant, like, oh, I don't want to work this area. Well, your buyers and your sellers are calling you from there. It's going to be challenging unless you move. I know some agents, not directly, but I know like in Tri-Valley, I like watching the Bay East Weather Report. That's also something maybe we could do too. We watch that religiously every month. But I know Tri-Valley inventory levels has been down 50-60% every single month. So if you are a specialist in a Dublin or San Ramon or Pleasanton or Livermore, unless you're one of the top agents, there's half of the business left to do. If you're not expanding and talking to more people and learning more markets, you're going to have a harder time thriving in this market. So for us, we're Oakland, Berkeley, mostly, but now we find ourselves, stretching to Richmond, San Pablo, and Vallejo pretty often. So it would be good to just suggestions, just find ways to interact with more agents in those markets, which is actually now we're actually the market. We're regional agents versus localized city agents. At least the people who are producing a lot this year is.
I totally agree with that. I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was all of a sudden had a bunch of clients in Livermore. And people are like, you're a Livermore agent now? And I'm like, fuck, I guess so. Like, that's where the people are. So I guess that's where I'm going. But luckily for me, like, I've been working in Vallejo as well because like my mom lives there. I have a bunch of family there. I'm comfortable there. I know Vallejo. And I've always been open to working a little bit farther out, and even more so now, especially since there was less traffic. So it wasn't as bad. But yeah, you guys remember at the beginning of quarantine when people were like, let's test the waters with transparent pricing. And then it did really, really horribly. And everybody was like, we're never doing that again. I was very disappointed because I know we have a large part of our value as realtors is being able to guide our clients through the complicated Bay Area pricing. But it was just going to take off so much work from us if we were going to go the more transparent route. So I would love to hear your guys' opinions on transparent pricing and whether or not you think that will ever happen. And if it does, is that a good idea?
I think it was good for a little bit. This year I've canceled more listings than a year than I ever have. I think I've canceled like 7 listings. We would love for be every listing to be a success, but I think 3 or 4 of them they just ended up renting out. Earlier COVID, it was transparent pricing, not a lot of activity. But then the listings that we launched in March and April took like 60 and 90 days to sell finally. And now like that transparent pricing would be transparent pricing, but if you had price at the previous transparent pricing, prices have skyrocketed. Like we have listings right now that we got buyers in and selling a year later that have went up 15%, which is a shock, right? Depending on the right, specs of the house. So prices are everywhere, and it's such a micro target market. It's hard to say, let's do transparent pricing for every house. I think condos, for the most part, are much slower to move. My building, I live at the C area. I think last year had 12 listings total, and at one time on MLS this last month had 10 listings. And I have a listing at 428 Alice Street down the street. Last year, I think there was 8 listings total for the whole year, and in 1 month it was 6 listings. So it's the conversations are harder and harder. You really have to at least learn that neighborhood really well and look at the data, which is why I like CRS MLS, because you can look it down and break down for you instead of trying to dissect it.
And I think in regards to transparent pricing, it's easier for us as agents and real estate professionals to understand that. I think the challenge is being able to help a client understand. They're like, well, why would we offer 250,000 over when it's listed at 800,000? It's a 2-1 in Berkeley, in North Berkeley, because I'm dealing with this scenario right now. So I think it's educating the consumer is what our biggest challenge is, right? We get transparent pricing all day long. We understand that. But being able to take a first-time home buyer through transparent pricing, what it is and what it is not, that's, I think, one of our biggest challenges. And so sitting down and sharing the data with them line by line by line, I'll write out a whole list. This one's 12%, this one's 20%, this one's 36% over asking. This is so they understand, like, okay. So now you see why we're not going to write at $800,000. So I think that being able to share that with the consumer is one of our biggest challenges, and educating them.
And in regards to specific features, features about properties, have you noticed a change pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Yeah, I mean, anything with a yard is just going bananas right now, a yard or an office. It could be like a breakfast nook that they staged as an office, and everybody loses their minds like, oh my gosh, there's an office space, because everybody needs one right now. So I think the things that people have been looking for has definitely changed. And as Kenny mentioned, different areas that people are looking to move to has definitely changed. So, I mean, we saw that with the San Francisco condo market, right? It's slowed down a little bit. So it's people migrating and choosing things that suit their lifestyles right now and for the long, for the near future, because who knows how long we'll all be working from home for. So I think buyers are definitely preparing for that.
I think pools are really in season this year with the heat.
Oh my gosh, people used to hate pools.
Honestly, people used to hate pools, like how much would it take to like cover this pool. And now this year, I remember early on, like we were writing offers in Hayward, and they had like 15, 17 offers, like 15% of what the comps were showing, but people are willing to buy those homes. My team has been Sacramento a lot, and the homes are going crazy. So the heat wave only made this season really funky.
And I think it shows to us that sometimes clients are open to different, like last year, I'll never move to Vacaville. We'll look at Vacaville. We'll consider Antioch, right? I had a client dead set on Oakland. No way, no how. Oakland. And we just closed in Antioch because they had a pool. And so it's like, it's the clients have opened up their mind. And now we are becoming experts on all these different markets that we would have never touched. Yeah, it's great to be hyper local, but we're going, and you guys mentioned earlier, where the buyer activity is. So now you start upping your game in all these different markets that you know nothing about before. And so it's, the mindset of the client has changed, and it's helped us to really get better at our craft. And so, yeah, what was possible, what was impossible is totally on their radar this year. It's crazy.
I don't know if MLSs collaborate, but as we're starting to shop new markets, like I don't know much about Sacramento or Marin County, and I'm just really learning as I go. I think me and my partner Jen, that has buyer there, we looked at over 70 something homes. We just really just learned the market this year there, but we can collaborate with some other MLSs, maybe put panels there, cross panels. I think that would be a huge benefit, and a lot of audiences would want to hop on to hear from other markets directly.
Great idea. So before we jump into questions, and I do want to let everyone know that we are going to open it up for questions. So please put them in the chat or put them in the Q&A, and we will address them. But I'm going to go with each one of you on your market forecast for 2020.
Felicia's part of it. She went like this.
If anybody knows, please let me know. Who has the crystal ball? I don't think anybody really knows, and anybody who is super set and thinks that they know, I feel like this year has just been such a freaking surprise I guess is a nice way of putting it. So I'm ready to be surprised for what 2021 has in store. I am thinking that interest rates will stay low, which will help us with the market staying hot. So I don't know. Kenny, do you have something in your brain?
Yeah, I think prices will continue to go up at least for next year. I think there's a high chance it'll start decreasing the year later. With interest rates staying low, it's gonna have obviously get affordability is much higher. I think it might be at all-time high right now. So like this year versus last year, people can actually afford to pay 15% more for the same home. I think this early COVID, people already just got out of San Francisco or got out of wherever it was to sign leases in new places. But I think a lot of those leases, some people may not want to break contracts wherever it might be. So as more lease contracts in, we're only really 6 months into this or 7 months. There's still another 5 months at least for this year's contracts of new leases. Where people, when they renew the lease, maybe someone that signed a condo apartment lease in Oakland, because a great idea at that time, get out of San Francisco in May. Now I was like, you know what, this is still not enough space for me. Let me go to Brentwood. So I think as that continues to happen, and COVID is not fully, we're not out of this, we're maybe halfway there. I think more and more buyers and consumers are going to start shopping outside the areas. But we're kind of like starting to warn buyers too, with the prices being tapped out. If the interest rates rises, and it's hard to even for next buyer to even pay the same amount. So as soon as interest rates goes up 1.5%, I think the whole market pricing will stall in many areas. But then maybe the prices will be so much cheaper than in perspective in like metro cities like San Francisco and Oakland, that people might start coming back here. So I think all this is not good for the wealthy, but I think this is really healthy for what's happening in the market. It's really shifting demographics, shifting buyers. Like it's really mixing things up in the Bay Area, which I think is healthy.
And my take on that is that for the next few months, we're playing catch up with the comps, right? So if clients are in a particular situation I'm in right now, clients are looking at a $1 million range in Berkeley. Well, we know that things have closed that same square footage for $300,000, $400,000 over. So now once those close, now we have a new comp, right? So we're playing catch up with everything that is still pending right now. So we're on a trend of this multiple offer scenario, well over asking, non-contingent, preemptive offers. That's the trend right now. So I think we're still going to be playing catch up. So I think over the next few months, we're definitely going to see a steady increase and steady well over asking. And then when we look at our who's able to afford, well, last year at 4%, that might not have been attainable. Well, this year at 2.75, my monthly is totally within reach now. And when we look at is my job rate going up at the same price or the same level of appreciation of homes? Most of the time, no. So that mediator and that level ground is you having an interest rate that's a point lower. So the people that weren't able to afford, their income's not catching up with the value of homes as they increase. That middle ground may be interest rates. And so when we build urgency, it's being able to share with people like, hey, you guys, this is not just a great time to buy real estate. No, this is a challenging time, but it is a great opportunity because of interest rates. And here's what we needed to strategize. So I think for the next few months, I say the next 6 months, we're going to continue to see prices going up, especially as comps are catching up.
Yeah. So on another note, I have a question for you, because a lot of the folks that specialize in REO training are assuming that we're going to see a lot of those next year because you have so many people who are late on their mortgages. So is that something that you are seeing, or something that you're anticipating and pivoting your business in any way to address?
I would say absolutely not, just because most people have equity in their homes. If they bought like 2016, 2018, you're seeing that a lot in West Oakland right now. Unfortunately, with like Station House, a lot of sellers there are not able to get the price they want. They're actually selling for less than they bought it for 3-4 years ago. I have a couple of townhomes coming up where we're at 2016 prices, but they put significant equity down, or even it was FHA, right? If they sold a $600,000, $700,000 home, if they sold it right now with a price matching, the biggest hit they'll probably take is like 2-3%. They might just pay it off instead of doing a short sale. And the short sale is the option. I actually built my business during the REO back in 2010 to 2012. So there's just no reason anyone would go through a foreclosure when they would just do a short sale. So I just don't see any type of REO inventory coming. I know a lot of people who were in REO business, and they haven't spoken about BPOs or anything increasing that significantly, at least not in this East Bay market.
So I've only been here for a few years, right? I'm still like a new little baby agent. So for me, like my whole thing with that has always just been when there's a serious sign of that, when there's actual data to show that that is increasing and that's happening, that's when I'm going to start learning how to do all those things and just adjust my business. And I think that those agents, those of us who, you know, survived the first 6 months of COVID are probably here to stay, hopefully, for the long run. And I think that we are the type of agents to adjust and to, you know, pivot and to learn new things. So I have faith in the fact that I'll just be able to learn the new system, and hopefully, you know, I'll have agents like Kenny who have already done all that to kind of lead the way and kind of guide on how to do those things. And then I will say that I agree with Kenny on the buyers next year who signed leases this year. I've already had in the last like 3 days, I've had 2 buyers reach out to me who said, I'm in a lease until this time next year, but I want to start searching right now. And I'm okay with, you know, breaking it in 6 months or 8 months or whatever I need to do. Or, you know, we'll try to line it up as best that we can. But I think that is going to be a major source of buyers for next year.
Awesome. So we do have a question, and you know, anyone who would like to jump in, please do. But we have someone who would like to have an idea going back to how you pull data and stats for your clients. They want to know specifically the mechanics that you use to do that. So if you're trying to educate either yourself or a client on a particular area, what are the steps that you take with the MLS to generate those results?
We got another hour?
I mean, I can do
We've got some
something,
time to fill, so please take
I
it.
can do something really, really quick if I share screen rights. I wish I do.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kenny.
I mean, here's a search I ran on Saturday morning. It's for a house, a single family house listing we have in San Lorenzo. So it's a 1080 square feet house. So this is a pretty standard search. Just drew a grid, just align it. Here's the cool features I like the most about the MLS. When you have the screen open, I like having this little black drop down thing where you can present your data in a certain way. So I like status and then sales price. And then it's set to that function, so it just immediately pulls it up. And when you're working and playing around with it, it shows it like this. This isn't my usual. See, here it is. So it just presents properties from highest to low in a certain thing. When I work with clients, I always like to, like if I'm texting a client, I always just like just screenshot the screen and send it to them. And then with the updated Cloud CMA, which I think is a really cool feature, you can create the CMA. I'm just gonna jump ahead. I'm not gonna go through the CMA. With the CMA, I really like this link right here, that when you click it, you can send this to your clients, and it loads really nicely. It's really easy to understand, and they can just look at that. And then the feature I talked about, which I liked a lot, I think it was this red box right here. Okay, it is. Let's see, let me share my whole screen. Yeah, when you pop that up, it just has this screen letting you break down the information. So you see the average sales price over list price, closing date, average days on market. It just makes this really, really easy to understand. And then for me, when I talk to clients, I still like sometimes sending them the Cloud CMA report, because some people are more visual learners, looking at the little dots on the map. Some people just are straight data. And then on the breakdown of the spreadsheet, the column that you really, not by default, but you guys really should have, is maybe including the price per square foot in here somewhere, and then the number of offers. So you can talk about how hot or not a certain market is. Because this format you're looking at right now is not the default. So this is just how I like to talk about my data. I removed a lot of the things like the pictures and I don't know, MLS information, just things. This is just like bare bones, but this has everything I need to talk to a client.
So
Love it.
I do the same thing, except for I'm a Paragon user. I know. So here comes the firing squad. So I do the same thing, but I put it in an email where I have one view that is more, I call it my detailed summary, which it has the photos, it has like the pretty stuff in case they're that type of person. And then I put a separate link that is just a simple spreadsheet. And then I go, if I'm really going in depth, I will literally list each property and put my opinions. Like, this is why this one sold for less, or this is why that one, went off the charts. And I do think that including the number of offers that each place got really helps, buyers as well. So
it takes a while to learn. I finally like 90% over on this one, but early on, at times I still go back to Paragon because I'm used to doing things a certain way. But like, if you guys are willing to make the investment and become the new MLS, it just does a lot more for you.
I agree. So at the beginning of quarantine, I was like, this is going to be one of my quarantine projects. I'm going to learn how to use ConnectMLS and I'm going to be awesome at it. And then we got really busy. And so when you're too busy and your business isn't set up enough to where you have time to figure these things out and work on yourself, then it kind of takes, I just don't have the systems right now in place to like give me the time and opportunity to focus on learning a new system. So until I get a little bit of a slowdown, I'm going to stick on Paragon.
I think too, for us, like I like being able to, the number of offers, like that should be in every single presentation that you do with the buyer, because if that field's not in there, make sure to put that field. And then what we do is we use Mixmax just to make that email that we send over to the clients look really smooth and look really sleek. I don't know if I'm going to share my screen. So this is the Cloud CMA right here. So the Cloud CMA, it's already loaded and it's got my information in there, but instead of having it be something clunky, it's here. Plus we include our data as well. So for us, I love pulling the data, but I want to present it in a way that looks sexy and looks clean versus having all these different attachments. So we use Mixmax to take that data that we use, take that link, and then make it look really slick and really cool in an email. Mixmax has been my best friend.
Love it.
Mixmax, because what it does, so Mixmax will take your link. So if I go here, I'll just give you an example. So if we go here to compose, and I'm going to do a full screen here. So if I'm going to put a link in here, all I do is go here to call to action. I put that link there, whether it's Cloud CMA or whatever it is, and then I change it and I put here, I put Tia's comps, and now it's going to create a button for me. I insert that. So now when they get the email, that's where their comps lie instead of trying to find something.
Okay, so it just makes the link cuter.
Cuter, yes. And then what's great about that, anytime anyone goes back to that email, you'll see the clients that are sitting up late at night. Felicia, this client has read your email 6 times. So you'd be like, okay, cool. Something I sent them.
Oh, you can see when they click on it.
Every single time.
You sneaky little, that's awesome.
Sorry, so someone said Mixmax a feature of Gmail. No, it's a separate service that you can integrate with Google. Sorry, I went fast. I know, but we're pressed for time. But Mixmax. Let me put the link in the chat. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Kenny put it in there. I think Kenny put it in there.
I have a demo of an existing one, so it makes your emails look like this. You can drop in, you can drop in the PDF where you can actually see the entire PDF. You can create call to action little buttons going to like the CMA. And then you can do this cute little, just like visuals URLs. So like we like it because when you're telling a story about pricing, you say, hey, these are the comps, and then hey, this neighborhood is like this. It's like writing a mini blog post in your email versus putting in 8 attachments and hoping they can kind of figure out what is it that you're trying to talk about, or what order to look at things.
It just cleans everything up.
Can you change the blue?
You can change it to any color. It's
nice.
Cool. Like, see the colors behind us? You can choose any of those colors.
All right, sorry. So if you wouldn't mind putting it in the chat one more time, Kenny?
Yeah.
The link. And someone was asking, and maybe you'd all like to opine on, one of the viewers was asking, how do we think we can get people to input the number of offers that they receive on properties? How can we incentivize, or is there a reason you think that folks don't put it in?
Yeah, if they don't put it in, they probably only got 1 or 2. That's what I tell people.
Yeah,
if they're not bragging about it, it didn't do so hot.
yeah, I thought that was the thing. If they have to disclose it. If there's 0, then that means
There's
they
no
only have 1.
rule. Is there a rule, Tia? There's no rule.
Right. Well, it's not a required field, which would be essentially a rule. So, meaning that, if you type in all your information and then you go to press save, if you didn't put in number of offers, it still will save.
How about
yeah, so I suppose that the way to make that be something that's required would be to make it a required field, but it's just do we not want another required field when we're trying to close our sales? And I'm putting that to you as a question, not as my opinion.
How about making it a are you sure? Like when we're doing MLS inputs, and then if we don't put in open house time, it'll say, hey, are you sure you haven't done this yet? Or if you're doing a price reduction and it's too big and it's like, hey, this doesn't make sense, are you sure? So we're not making a requirement, or maybe we're making it a suggestion as a feature of the MLS. That could help. I don't know if that can be like built into the MLS thing or the Paragon, or how much work that would take. But at least that one extra step will probably increase that frequency.
Yeah, my other question is, like, with things like that, sometimes it's required that you speak to your client about it. Like the seller should probably know that you're disclosing that to everybody. I don't know if there's anything wonky with that. I'm not I don't know everything, but
right. Well, I think, because it is coming up and it's something that people have interest in, it's definitely something that we can bring to committee and the board and discuss. And, just like all the other great ideas that have come up in this panel, it would be something interesting to discuss to see whether, as you said, liability with the seller, or, making it difficult for agents to close their transactions. So
would that be a national vote, or is that localized, or is that a California thing?
Yeah, usually it's more of a local, for our local MLS, we would be making rules, but because we do share a platform with Based and Contra Costa, we share the Paragon platform with them. Oftentimes when we are making rules changes, we collaborate back and forth so that there's not one thing that we have and something that they're not okay with, and vice versa, because we do share a platform. So that's kind of the mechanics for that. And I guess just as we were speaking a little bit earlier about cross communication with other MLSs, it's absolutely something that we do. But interestingly, MLS has kind of got an older arrangement, and the MLSs tend to be their little individual fiefdoms. So what has happened is the business has kind of accelerated past the structure of these different MLSs in different areas. So it's constantly a situation, and certainly now, as you're seeing, when people are moving to different areas, we really have to work towards a situation where all of these different MLSs work together. And I think that was something that is very hard for clients to understand, certainly, and even agents, new agents to the business. Why is it that I have to click twice to look at listings, in a different area, when my client just goes on, service, and is able to immediately look at it? And so that's kind of the structure that we're working against. But that's the great thing with Bridge and with our CEO, Dyna. She's always been very open to working with other MLSs. And to your point, as far as being able to realize that we are working in all over Northern California and Southern California, we need to make sure that that line of communication is open. So I'm seeing a lot going on in the chat, and I'm wondering if maybe we have.
Ira made a good point about there's obviously a lot of reasons why a listing agent wouldn't want to put it in, as when the property is pending. But I think that like little reminder or whatever would be when they're switching it from pending to sold, because things might fall out of contract, and there's a ton of reasons why somebody wouldn't want to put that information in there. But hopefully somebody from MLS is taking notes.
Right.
No, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. I can see they're making comments as we go.
Yeah, this was fun, Tia. This was good.
So one more thing I just wanted to do before we go, everyone has been really enjoyed the panel, and I was wondering if we could just go around one more time, and if everyone can just give your name, your brokerage, and how about a fun fact about yourself as we sign off. Elias.
Elias Astuto, Team Fast, Northern California sales manager. Fun fact about me, I used to have hair down on my belly button.
Wow.
Yeah, this long old hippie hair. And then to top it off, I had this hemp wrap that was weaved into it. So you could see it in this like ponytail all the way back, this long, cool, flowy hair. And I wore this jacket that was corduroy and furry on the inside for about 12 months.
Love it. Love it. And love it. Thank you. Thank you, Elias. Kenny.
Kenny Truong, fast real estate broker by ESP Realty. I sleep 7 hours every night.
Good for you. Good for you. That's like something to really confess nowadays, right? Because everyone's
don't sleep
4 hours.
It's really important.
It's
What
really
time do you go to sleep though?
All right.
And sorry, Felicia, I'm going to give you the last word.
Felicia was bald before, right?
Bald?
She wasn't. Stop it.
Fun fact, I did have a pixie cut before I had this long, I had my hair pretty much shaved in the back. It was pretty short. Felicia Mares, I am an agent with Abio Properties. And fun fact about me, I had my birthday wrong all the way up until I was 16 years old.
Wow.
My parents didn't know my birthday.
So, Elias, we see everywhere. He is just in every single panel. I don't know how he does it. And he's a practitioner. I know Kenny's got a great team, and he works with Elias and eXp Realty. Felicia, I know that you're taking like every leadership position at the board and the MLS. So we're really excited to see that on the state level as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we'll be seeing and hearing more from you as well as we move along. My name is Tia Hunnicutt. I am the outgoing chair of Bridge MLS. I am a past president of the no longer existing Oakland Association of Realtors. And it has been my absolute pleasure to moderate this panel today. We have a request in the chat for contact emails from our panelists. So when you folks have a chance, if you could go ahead and type your emails into the chat if you would so desire, so that people can get in contact with you with future questions. Otherwise, I think we are right at our time, 45 minutes.
We would say, sorry for interrupting,
not at all.
Follow us on Instagram so you guys can follow all of our journeys. Obviously, we're all, documenting our journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great stuff, the behind the scenes, the, oh my God, like we want to just document and share our journey with the community. It's raw, sometimes it's real, it's gritty, but at the end of the day, it's us. So I think all three of us do a great job of just showcasing who the heck we are in our own skin. So give us a follow on Instagram, and let's all stay connected and continue to share our journeys together.
And I would absolutely chime in with that. I'm on Instagram and YouTube at Homes by Tia, at Homes by Tia. Otherwise, thank you so much. Please do go ahead and follow each of us on social media, and have a great day. Be safe and be well.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Kenny. And thank you, Bridge, for having us on. We appreciate it.
Thank you to all of our panelists. That was great. That was a really excellent discussion. I think we all gained a lot of perspective from that. So thank you guys so much for coming on. So a little bit later on, we are going to be having Greg Robertson, the author of The Art of the CMA speak. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we are also going to be having our second raffle winner. And now we are going to invite Nikki Morgan of CRS Tax to speak. So let's get a big Round of applause, a virtual round of applause, and welcome for Nikki. Hello.
All righty, let's see if my connection's good. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. I know that's hard to say yes when everybody's muted. My apologies. Thank you very much. Hopefully you can see my screen as all is good. You're not going to see my face, and most people who know who I am know that you don't see me unless you see me live and in person. I'm having a hard time with this virtual world and trying to understand how everybody's getting through it, and I'm glad to be with you today. What I want to talk to you about is CRS data and the access that we're giving you to courthouse retrieval systems and all the clerk and assessor data. So just to kind of give you an idea, we've been super busy through this time, trying to reach out to our customers, making sure that we're identifying ways that we can improve our products and services. And as a person that usually is out doing demos in person and training and bringing it to our users, I'm excited to be able to say with us through this time, we've been super focused on the feedback we're getting. So as I open up the tax suite, I want to remind everybody that we're in a constant mode of change. So you'll see some new things coming through, and we want to make sure that you know where to find that. So at the MLS tax suite, again, you have access directly from your MLS to the MLS tax suite, and you have access to a whole group of counties along with that, just to make sure that we go through the idea of where we're bringing you new products and features. And as I tap on profiles and settings, each member or each user has an opportunity to do end user customizations. So as I ask people what we can do to improve our product and services, it's all about the fact that I don't like certain things and I want to be able to modify the tax suite around my needs. This is where they're going to do that, through profiles and settings, creating your own custom user settings. So that's kind of first and foremost. So going back into what we've been up to, the way that you're looking at property records, recently bringing in photos to those property records, being able to tell a story, taking a property report and telling a story with it, all the way through viewing the property report and even doing CMAs and custom CMAs. We know there's a lot of that out there. We want to make sure that people utilize the information we have available and we're providing you, even going through it and doing prospecting and pulling facts and figures, all this information directly from a single property address. And then beyond that, what have we been up to most recently? Enhancing our prospecting. So this was the thing on the top of my list. How can I change the way I'm doing business? Or how can I look at or into the future when I'm kind of in a different position today? I can't see or talk to people as much as I was able to while we were at live conferences and such. So we put a lot of effort on prospecting and how I do that so that I can paint a picture of where I've been and where I'm going. So not only from an individual property, but wide net approach prospecting. Going in and being able to identify, and how easy we've made that by tapping on the prospecting icon. Now that we've revisited this whole view, we know that not only you need access to every county in your toolkit, so we've got all of these counties available to you. We also have added the ability to search by owner names as well as addresses and subdivisions. So I can simply type the word lake and I can go in and focus on subdivisions that start with the word lake, look at individual subdivisions in and around Alameda County, or maybe it's street addresses or subdivisions that start with the word lake. Now, I don't want to put a whole lot of thought into this. I want to be able to tap on starts with the word lake and see what happens. Very quickly, we've decided that I don't have time to waste here. If I want to do a crazy search like starts with the word lake, I've got the map displaying immediate results. I've got CRS allowing me to not only start with some simple criteria, but see that criteria come to life across the map. So we are just starting with a simple word of starts with the word lake. So I'm looking for just a subdivision, and my map came to life. Right away, I've uncovered 1,592 properties that start with a subdivision that starts with the word lake. How much more simple can it be? So again, it's starting with a simple search that can be any number of items, calling out the map and saying, I may need you, so stay close, as well as realizing that I may just want to draw on the map. Who doesn't love the idea of drawing a polygon or a rectangle or a radius just to determine an area I want to focus on? Somewhere that I haven't been, somewhere that I plan to go, somewhere that there may be more inventory, someplace that, you know, I want to introduce myself to. Through CRS data, you're able to identify. Not only that, we've also added all these great filters. So when we jump into filters, I get excited because this is real. Like doing this for 10 years with CRS data, I love what they're providing. Boundary data, bringing in the listing data as well. So I can simply tap to uncover and refine my search by the listing type. So it's as easy as that. How about owner types or duration? Maybe I am looking for simply an absentee out-of-state owner. One click, my 1,500 results go down to 228 on the right-hand side of the screen. Again, it's simple, it's easy, and layers of information. Ownership duration, as well as assessed value and property types, recent sales. Let's get right down to the nitty-gritty. Do I want to exclude or include flood zones? Take a look at mortgage age. Whatever I picture my next year or my next month looking like, where I want to look for those buyers and sellers, all right here in front of me. Whether or not it's cash buyers, or maybe it's land use, improvement types, acreage, or vacant land. All of this very simply exposed by utilizing the map feature. And then it's all about what you want to do with it. So in the past, CRS made you decide what you wanted to use, whether it was filters or maps. Now I'm giving you them all. Taking you through the map, allowing you to pan and utilize filters, maps, and then decide what do you want to do with the data and where you want to go from here. Whether or not I want to create labels or export data, all very simple and just all a very refined design. This is just the beginning, folks. I know that we just have a few minutes and it's hard to go through everything that's going on. I do want to remind you that prospecting's got a new face. There's more. Again, I said right when we started that CRS has been busy. They've been having us talk to users, ask people and give feedback. Tell us what you want next. If you haven't seen what we've been doing lately, I want to point you out at the message center where we're going to post and continue to and have been through all of this, posting new messages and videos, introducing users to our new features and functions. Even doing short webinars, because getting people to sit down for an hour of me or even 15 minutes, or if I can get somebody to sit down and have a cup of coffee or a Coke and just let me show them what's new, we'd love to do it. And we are doing it that way, offering training for brokerages and individual offices, along again with just calling out to us, let us know what you need. And that's what it's all about. It's the people behind the product. We all need data. We all need an easy way to gain it, get it, and do what we need to do with it. And so we hope that CRS is part of your day-to-day. Again, what can I answer? Is there anything that's come in that I haven't covered in regards to what we're trying to show here? Not sure. It looks like I might be having some random stuff going on here.
Yeah, so could you go into maybe like a little more depth as far as like maybe search features?
Oh, absolutely. I was under the impression, sorry about that. All right, so as far as from a property search side of things, so when you go in to search for a property, when we start by choosing or identifying a county, so it's all about a single county or up to 4 counties to begin a search. And then it's all about just a name, an address, a subdivision, APN or MLS number. So I can just simply start to type. And CRS is giving you owner names, street addresses, and subdivisions alike. So if I, in fact, am looking for owners with a last name of Abbott, I can tap very simply to view more, or even return to full options or submit to see all. So it's super simple to get into and start to identify properties. And when you get those search results, back to how do we set up profiles and settings, we go in and refine or define what I would like my search results to look like. We pull in MLS data and then very simply even propose the option of looking at those properties on a map. So hover over top of the properties to get snippets of information, toggle through and view each property address and tap to see the property results. If I go back to my main search, possibly you want to see properties and search by those properties using advanced search or a map search. You can tap to do that as well. And this has had a bit of a facelift, if you will. So again, identifying by county, and each individual is going to choose between a simple search, a search utilizing a map, as well as advanced search using location information and property specifics. Let's just tap on this larger map now that you've given me a little bit of room to move within the product, which is wonderful. Thank you very much. When I open up the tax suite, I can go in and I can start to zoom in and out on the maps and even change my views, as well as draw on the map to identify areas. Now, originally we talked about prospecting from a property report. Now we're looking for additional data. These types of filters we looked at in prospecting are also available to you by tapping to type or dragging and dropping to identify last sales price or even appraised value. Owner information. So if I just tap on and add the owner name of Smith right away, just like within prospecting, my map starts to come alive. So this kind of was linked to, in a way, to the prospecting, revamp and how we kind of started going towards a position of, if I'm looking for data, I want to see the results start to appear in front of me. So as I start to put in filters, data starts to appear on the map. And then I can go through and continue to refine right down to owner occupied, whether I'm looking for those absentee owners or out of state or in state absentee owners. So tap to display. So search filters, searching simply or by an advanced filter, as well as going in and being able to focus on locations, as well as property values, a little bit of property characteristics, and owner profiles.
We will need to get to our next section here, but this is quite a versatile and really just prominent tool, as we can all see. The tax suite just has a lot of depth, and it's just a wonderful addition. So Nikki, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. This has been great. And I would encourage everybody to go on and check out Tax Suite for themselves. It's incredibly powerful. So thank you so much, Nikki. We really appreciate you having you on. And now I'm going to introduce back to the virtual stage, Dyna Lara, who will be introducing our next speaker here. Hello, Dyna.
Hi, Dominic. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be able to do this because the next person I'm going to introduce is a longtime friend and a colleague of mine. and I know he's got to be in the house. Are you there, Greg? Well,
Hola, how's it going?
Good. How are you, my
All
friend?
right, how's it been?
Good, good. When I knew you were speaking today, I asked for this opportunity to introduce you myself. So I thought, now that you're a renowned author and business entrepreneur and all these things, I thought I have to take this opportunity. So I don't know if you caught our last panel when they were sharing some of their tools and tips, but one of our speakers, Kenny, who will also be on our board of directors for the MLS, when he was sharing his tools, he brought up Cloud CMA as one of his tools.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I know Kenny is, he's spoke at one of our meetings as well. So absolutely, yeah.
I tell you, I've been working on trying to get Kenny on leadership for a long time. So we will be installing him this year to be on our MLS board of directors. And so I'm really excited. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Greg Robertson, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say, which I'm sure will be a lot. So I'm going to turn it over to you right now. Have a great time. Greg Robertson talking about the cloud products, and I'm sure you'll even give us a pitch on your book. So take care and have fun.
Yeah, thank you, Divine. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with talking about my new book and some takeaways, and then I'm going to bring it over to send it over to Shane McCarthy, who's going to give more of a detailed thing about Cloud CMA. So I wrote this book. It's called The Art of the CMA. And it's basically just, I've been in the business for about 27 years. I started my first real estate software company back in 1992. So it's been a while. And I've just, been so lucky to get so many stories and tips and tricks from agents from all over the country when we were traveling a lot. And I've just kind of gathered all those things. And I thought, I have enough here to, I think I could write something about this, right? So what I'm going to kind of go over today here, and I don't want to take up too much of Shane's time because he can show you some real world examples of how to kind of implement this stuff. But I want to talk about let go of fear. I want to talk about the anatomy of a perfect CMA. Then we're going to go kind of beyond listing presentations, how you can use CMAs in your business, and then kind of looking ahead, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is just this concept of letting go of fear, right? There is so much money and capital and a lot, disruption going on in this industry. It's really easy for all of us to get, stressed out, right? Especially now that we're all stuck in our homes right now. And I see it in the Facebook comments. I see it, online on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, just a lot of people complaining and really hating on a lot of these new companies or other companies. And I want to say to everybody, it needs to stop. I mean, these guys it's just the way it is now. These players are here to stay. But think of it this way. I mean, Zillow launched in 2006, and there's more agents than ever since 2006. So these things don't have to be disruption of anything, right? These are just new players. And if you go deeper into what these things are doing, you'll find that there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And that's kind of stuff I want to talk about, right? If we're talking about the art of the CMA, if we're talking about art, I mean, Picasso brings to mind something, and he had a great quote that I put here, and that's, computers are useless. They only give you answers, right? So this is what I think the narrative is right now with everybody, is everybody's scared of being taken over by some sort of automated computer program that's going to help them just buy a home and sell a home, right? And that's just nonsense. This war between robots and humans that seems to be going on in real estate is really, it's not, I think, what people think it is, right? So if you look at it, I mean, home ownerships and why humans still matter, it's still a very infrequent purchase, right? So it's nothing you don't do that all the time. So you're not really, in the mode of doing that a lot of, buying and selling a house. It's an emotional transaction. I mean, you want to feel where that neighborhood is, feel that home. Does it feel right? So it's a very emotional thing. And Zillow can't, kind of give you that, or Open Door can't give you that feeling, right? Your computer screen can't give you that feeling. And it's the largest investment that anybody makes. So these three things, the fact that homeownership is infrequent, it's emotional, and it's a large investment, really, lend a hand to like agents being involved in the process, right? I don't think any agents are going away anytime soon. In fact, some people think it's going to shrink. I think actually there's going to be more agents out there as these kind of solutions actually increase mobility, meaning it makes it easier for people to move, right? There's going to be this kind of hybrid movement there. When we look at these robots, when we look at these computer programs that are, supposed to replace us, I mean, think about it this way. When I launched Cloud CMA back in 2009, and the Zestimate was around, I thought the Zestimate might kill the CMA, right? But in fact, it actually was a big boon for us because Brian Barrero of Thousand Watt, I know, who lives local there, he always said, I've always thought the Zestimate was God's gift to realtors. In some ways, like every superhero needs a villain in a sense, right? That kind of makes them relevant. And I think with a Zestimate, I mean, now you have some computer algorithm just spitting out a number, and there it gives you a chance to parry, to kind of overcome that objection, right? And gives you something to talk about. It gives you something to show your real value, right? So as I look through online and I see some of the Facebook comments and about Zestimates and other things, one comment actually was really funny to me. And the comment was, Zillow can't smell the cat, right? A Zestimate can't smell the cat. And I think that's hilarious because computers can only do so much, right? They can't, at least right now, they can't smell for us, right? So that's a good thing when you're a real estate agent, right? So my company did a survey earlier in the year, and we asked a lot of agents if they included Zestimates in their CMA, right? And I'm not talking about like using the Zestimate for the subject, the subject property for the suggested list price. I'm talking about using the Zestimate for the comps, right? So one of the things that we do in our product called Cloud CMA, which Shane is going to go over here in a second, is we include an online valuation analysis, right? So we actually capture all the comps here and we put in different columns, the sold date, the sold price, and then next to the sold price, we put the Zestimate, and then we show how far off the Zestimate is from the sold price, right? And this varies in market to market. But then what we do is we surface the worst case scenario, the worst Zestimate that came out here, and then we put it to the top where we say now Zestimate's varied up to 6.1% and or $129,000, right? So a lot of agents tell us that the first objection they get in a listing presentation is, well, Zillow says my house is worth this much. So having this page, including Zestimates in your CMA, lets you talk about the elephant in the room, but you can do so in a manner where it really makes you look like you're the professional, which is exactly right? It shows that computers can make mistakes. They're only giving answers, not really giving any context to that, right? So if we flash forward to nowadays, now the biggest thing that we talk about are these iBuyers, and one of the bigger ones is Open Door, and I know Zillow has their own. Now, Open Door is another thing where I say to agents nowadays, are you including Open Door or iBuyer offers in your CMA, right? Now, that seems a little bit, as I think early on when you would ask, are you including Zestimates? Why would I do that? Why would I include an iBuyer offer? Well, here's the reason is that just the same thing with Zestimates. Your clients have probably gone and looked anyway. So you want to have as much information as possible when you go into that listing presentation. You want to be as well educated as your client is and know what those things are here, right? So I think it's important, just as you would want to know what the Zestimate of what the Zestimate said for the home price, I think you would want to know going to a listing presentation what the iBuyer offer is, right? And these things are actually getting pretty close to market. It's just the fees you have to watch out for. And here's another thing. Sometimes, did you know that with Open Door and others, I think others have a better thing. If you actually are the ones that bring up the iBuyer offer, and actually your client says, you know what, I think I'll go with that because of certain inconvenience, they'll kick you back 1%, right? So there might be that could be an easy 1% for you to get. In fact, I know of a lot of clients or agents that their clients are not only passing over their client to Open-Door, but or another iBuyer, but they're also still sticking on with the agent. So the client's actually paying more because they want that certainty and convenience of an iBuyer, but they still want the advice and they're still paying full commission to the agent. So don't look at these things as being, being fearful of them. Embrace them, because there is a way of using this to your advantage, these new models to your advantage. So I talk about that a lot in my book, and you can see that, and I'll talk about how you can get that later. Another thing which is great, and this is in chapter 9, is I interviewed a lot of agents and brokers. There's a particular broker out in Atlanta, and his name is Brad Nix. And chapter 9 talks about kind of listing presentations and working with different models out there. What he does is pretty brilliant, I think. And what he's done is he's basically printed up these cards. There's 4 cards, one that says convenience, one that says timing, one that says certainty, and one that says money. And he brings this to every listing presentation. And he asks his clients to move the cards and put what the most important thing is on the top, and then rank them in their order, right? And this is a great device to help him kind of see where his client's motivation is. Because a lot of times you're trying to, at a listing presentation, you're trying to pull that out of them, but it's very hard to do so. But this is a great trick. And if you read chapter 9, he'll go over the whole process of how he uses these cards in listing presentations to really, really help him increase his listing presentation closing rate, and also, get a lot of insight he wouldn't normally get from his sellers, his potential sellers. So yeah, to me, like I said, don't fear these new models. Learn how to use them, right? Learn how to use them in your own business. And there's a lot of ways you can use that. We talk about that. Next thing I want to talk about is what I call the anatomy of a perfect CMA. So how you should be formatting, or how you should lay out your CMA, right? So another great guy, Richard Feynman, who's a professor out there, he has a quote that says, "The ultimate test of your knowledge is your ability to convey it to another." How you can, unless you can kind of teach it to somebody, when you really know something, you know that because you can tell somebody and teach them that, right? So I really love that quote, and that's your job, right? That's another thing you're going to have over these robots, over these algorithms, over these new models, is that you're going to be there right in there. You can be there to explain things and show things and empathize and everything else. Being a human is a good thing, right? These algorithms are not going to take us over. So when I look at a CMA and in a listing presentation, as being part of that, you really want to accomplish 3 things. The first thing you want to do is kind of establish yourself as a professional, right? So that's what a first part of a good CMA does, or your listing presentation. It's talking about you, maybe some testimonials, describing the process you're going through. So the first part of the anatomy of a CMA, a perfect CMA, would be to establish yourself as a professional, right? The second thing is you want to do the analysis. You want to show your homework. So you want to come up with a suggested list price. And this is really where the CMA comes in, where you're showing comps, making adjustments, and doing all those things, right? So, and then the last thing of a perfect CMA is really getting the listing. And what that is about closing. And we're all in a sales position. So we need to, in order to do sales, we got to overcome an objection and then close, overcome an objection and close. So part of your listing presentation, part of your CMA should be a way of overcoming objections and doing that. And I can't emphasize this enough. The French have a phrase called l'esprit d'escalier, which it means staircase wit. And how I describe it is, have you ever been in an argument with your spouse or significant other, and you leave the room, and then minutes later, maybe as you're walking down the stairs, you think of the perfect comeback. God, I should have said that. Or, maybe it's an argument at work or something like that. They call that staircase wit. And I've always just loved that phrase. But a lot of times they just tell me the same objections keep coming from their sellers. So you should spend the time in writing up responses to those common questions, so you nail it, right? You know how to deliver that right away. So just don't let happenstance happen. Prepare for that, right? Another thing I want to talk about is using CMAs beyond listing presentations, because they are a really powerful tool, right? Another artist that I love is Steve Martin, and he says, "Be so good they can't ignore you," right? And what does that mean? I think agents, again, you want to be able to show your clients that you are the biggest expert in the market, right? So if you look at your market, what kind of trees are in your neighborhood? Can you imagine talking to a real estate agent and they know the kind of trees that are in the neighborhood? Wouldn't you like look at that person and go, my God, what don't they know, right? So I'm talking about be so good they don't ignore you. Really, really, really get as detailed as you can in your farm so you can describe, you know, the model, the make, the type of trees are, the type of shrubbery, all those different things I think are really going to kind of do that. Beyond that, then you can share that information. I mean, we have a plan in the book I talk about of like creating 10 CMAs a week for your sphere of influence and learning to make kind of getting some leads that way. Implementing what's my homework landing pages on social media. You should start the process of virtualizing your business right now, right? I mean, a lot of things with social distancing and maybe even have some sellers out of town that you want to present there. Buyer CMAs, again, those are really another way of using CMAs beyond the listing presentation. And of course, staying in touch with past clients. 90% of consumers are asked whether they use the same agent, and or consumers are asked that, and 90% say they would, but only 12% actually do. So it's important. I think you can use CMAs to kind of demonstrate your knowledge with your past client as well. All right, before we get into Shane here, I do want to end with looking ahead, right? We're in a kind of crazy times right now with COVID and the market's going crazy and everything else. But there's kind of a thing I saw on Twitter that really helped center me a lot. And it's just really 4 things I like to focus on. Like the first thing is, and I made a little sign for it in the office here. And the first thing is just focus on your work, right? Create your own lane, right? Know what you're good at and do that well. Build your own tribe. That's what we're doing now online. You know, you guys are online watching this virtual trade show because these are your people. This is your tribe. This is the people you want to be around. And then the other thing is like, let the market take care of the rest, right? I mean, just focus on what you're doing, create your own lane, build your own tribe, and just let everything else kind of fall away, right? I think that's very important to kind of stay centered in times like these. Now, if you're interested in purchasing my book, The Art of the CMA, you can go to theartofthecma.com. For people on this, I'll waive shipping, so you get free shipping. I've got this cool like little laptop sticker that says, ask me what your home is worth. So if you're at Starbucks with your computer up, when that comes back around, I mean, might generate a lead for you. I'll personalize and sign the copy. So I'll put your name on there and sign. And then that study that I talked about, that survey of CMAs and best practices, I took that entire survey and I put it in the back of the book. So I'll include that free. But I know I rushed through some things. I know we're limited time, and I really do want to hand it off to Shane. And thank you guys for listening. And I hope you enjoy. Those of you that get in the book, hope you enjoy the book. And thank you so much. And I'll pass this over to Shane. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Greg, I'm still waiting for my signed copy of the book.
It's coming. I actually sent it out yesterday. I promise I did.
Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen here. Hi, everyone. I just want to confirm, Greg, can you see my screen? Just want to confirm with everybody we can.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thanks, Greg. So today, first of all, my name is Shane. I'm the Director of Broker Services for Cloud CMA. Appreciate you allowing us to take a little time today. When I was putting this together, there's quite a bit to cover. Bridge MLS, you guys have 3 of our products as member benefits, Cloud CMA, which I think most of you are familiar with, Cloud MLX and Cloud Streams. I knew Greg was going to talk a little bit about his book, and with the time allotted, I think I want to really focus on what's new with Cloud CMA and the new CMA Live feature. I may touch on at the end, if time permitting, Cloud MLX and Cloud Streams, but I am going to share my email with everybody. And if anybody wants me to dive a little bit deeper into those, I'm happy to schedule a one-on-one call and we can talk about those. So let's dive into CMA. I know a lot of you on this call are already familiar with Cloud CMA. And I know we have an agent on the call who's a power user, Judy Richardson with Red Oak Realty. And actually, before I get into live CMA, I was going to invite Judy to come on really quickly and just give a little testimony about how she's been using the program.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks, Shane. Can you guys hear me? So,
Yes.
I have been using Cloud CMA for quite a few years. I find that First of all, it's been really important for me because one of the most important parts of our work for listings is putting together a CMA, a current market analysis for our sellers, to basically tell them exactly what we think their house is worth, or what it might list for, and then what it might sell for. A lot of times we may be familiar with the area. Most of the times we are, but sometimes not exactly. And so what I really like about it is that you can bring up a ton of different properties from the MLS and then go into Cloud CMA and take out those properties that maybe aren't going to be related, or they're too far away, or their price points are off. And so I really, once you've got your core group of properties, it really helps to be able to even take it down even a few more after that, so that you're really presenting something to your client that they're going to, number one, understand, and number two, be able to really digest and get a good sense of what their property is going to sell for. Secondly, I really like the pictures. I think that oftentimes when you pull something from the MLS, the pictures are small, they're hard to see, they're maybe not in the right order. And you guys, we used to put together books when we'd meet with our clients. And so this is just a really nice way to be able to visually show that to them, so that they get a good idea of how their property compares to others. It also makes us look really professional. I think that it can be an additional packet that you can pull out of your presentation. Often this is the most important part, or what the seller really wants to know. Obviously you want to talk about marketing and other things, but they just want to know numbers, and they want to know what price they're going to be receiving. So being able to pull that out as a separate packet or a separate presentation, I think is really important. And then finally, I just like the ability to be able to go back and access really easily the CMAs that I've already created. So being able to, find them easily. Obviously, like you have them on the screen, they're well laid out. The names of the clients are there with the addresses, and you can just click into them. You can also change out different properties if you want to update it based on when you did the prior CMA. So those are just a few of the ideas that I, use CMAs for, Cloud CMA, and find it extremely important for my business.
Thank you, Judy. That was very thorough. Judy, do you want a job?
You're funny. One more thing that I forgot to talk about was the branding as well. At Red Oak, we actually have the Red Oak branding in there, and I think that is really great as well.
Perfect, Judy. And yes, we do have quite a few brokers up in your area that have purchased a custom theme. And if you think your brokers would be interested in that, you can certainly email when you're done. Thank you, Judy, for that. Now, I know Judy's a power user, and a lot of you on this call have been using Cloud CMA for many years, but you might not be aware that we just released a new way to present Cloud CMA. What you're seeing up on the screen is what you should be familiar with. We've always taken great pride in our printed reports, and we've always had this kind of slideshow for iPad digital presentation, but it wasn't truly interactive. And a little over a month ago, we introduced Cloud CMA Live. This is a completely interactive presentation. It has live data in it, which means if one of your comps goes from pending to sold, well, you can feel confident that's going to be reflected and automatically updated in your CMA. It looks fantastic on any device, all the way from your client's television screen to the client's phone. And by the way, phone is really important right now. If you're going to email any report to anybody, whether it's a CMA or any other report, it has to look good and it has to function properly on a phone. So Cloud CMA Live definitely does that on mobile devices. And it's interesting, and I talked to Greg about this, when we started building this in January of this year, we certainly were not anticipating a global pandemic upon release. That just happens to be the time that we released this. So it has been very, very handy for agents that are having to do Zoom type of listing presentations or any kind of a screen share. We actually did a poll, that poll that Greg was showing. We asked we had about 4,000 agents respond. One of the questions was, how many of you have done a virtual listing presentation? And it was less than 10%, so it was very low. And then the other question was, how many of you anticipate doing one in the next 3 months? And it was closer to 60%. What I found in talking to agents over the last month and a half since we've released Cloud CMA Live is a lot of agents are still a little hesitant about presenting via a Zoom meeting. So I'm going to give you some tips as I show Cloud CMA Live to make sure that if you're going to implement this in that type of a presentation, that you have some of these little tricks that we've discovered. So I'm going to go in now into my Cloud CMA account. First thing, good news, you don't have to learn anything new. So you're going to put your CMA together the same way you've been doing with Cloud CMA already. And again, that all starts with the MLS. So you're going to log into Paragon, you're going to do a search like you always do, check off your comps, and at the top there's an actions button. You click on Cloud CMA, and that magically opens up your account and takes you right to this page here. It's opening up here, and those MLS numbers that you chose will just be sitting in this box ready to go. All you have to do is hit the fetch listings button and they pull through. I'm not going to go through the whole process of customization, all that. I'm really excited just to get into live CMA. If you have any questions on that, I'm happy to do a one-on-one training. But I think anybody that's on this call will attest to how easy it is to create a CMA with Cloud CMA. All right, so let's go now into my CMAs I've made. What you will see, the difference you'll see is next to the View PDF button, you'll notice a new button called View Live. And when you click View Live, that'll take that presentation and put it into this type of presentation here. And this is Cloud CMA Live. So as just a reminder, this has live data. It's always updating itself. It looks good on any type of device. And this has been an absolute game changer this last month and a half since we've released it. I deal a lot with our large broker clients. The feedback they're getting from agents is the agents are presenting this to their sellers, whether in person or via like a Zoom type of meeting. And the sellers are saying, we've never seen anything like this before. That is the exact response you'd like to get at a listing presentation, doing something different that they haven't seen another agent present. Now, before I get into navigating, a couple things that you can do before you start. If you go up to the very top, we call it the hamburger icon, you can click on that. And down below, you can actually start a Zoom meeting right out of here. Now, of course, it'll work with any video conferencing software that you might be using, but these are some of the more popular ones. You also have the ability to go in and customize what we call the grid. So you can turn these tiles on and off. You can move them up and down, put them in different order. Basically, all the pages that you already have in Cloud CMA will be brought over to here, and they'll be sitting in this list over here. And then you can just turn on the ones you want and put them in the correct order. So once you have that dialed in the way you like, the next time you come to make a new Cloud CMA Live, it'll remember all that. Just like it does for print, it'll remember your previous Cloud CMA Live, so you don't have to change it every single time. Now, how you navigate is really up to you. You can just simply jump into a section. If you go down to the bottom right and click the arrow, you can kind of go from left to right, like more of like a slideshow. I kind of like just to jump into a section, but before I do that, note that on the grid, I can already gather a lot of information, right? So if I send this to my client, right, they don't even have to click into any of these tiles. They already know there's 9 comps. They already know the average price per square foot, and the days on market, right? So they can garner a lot of information just from the home screen before diving in a little deeper. Now, what I'm going to do now is jump into comps. And again, you can see I have 9. And there's actually 3 different ways you can view comps. There's a compare view, a map view, and a list. So I'm in the compare view now. And what's nice here is you can actually slide these comps right up next to the subject property. And then you can see down the line the differences. So for example, this house has 1 less bedroom. This house has 2 less bedrooms. Really, really easy way for you to compare subject property to the comparables. If you're wondering how I drew on the screen, that's with the telestrator at the bottom. So it looks like a little pen. So just click on that, and that gives you the ability to draw attention to anything you'd like for your seller. And again, Agents are using that on Zoom type of meetings, but they're also using the telestrator live in person. Now, if you want to dive a little deeper into any of the property details, you simply click on them and you have this beautiful listing display here. I really like that even in this display, we remind you of the differences. Again, this one has an extra garage. And then any of the adjusted prices that you've added in Cloud CMA are highlighted below. Plus, we give the ability to add adjustments on the fly. So if you forgot something or it makes sense to add that adjustment in front of the client, you have that ability without having to go back into Cloud CMA in order to do that. Now, to get back to the view I was just at, which was the side-by-side comparison, just click the top arrow on the left and it takes you right back. The second view is the map view. And what this is going to show are the 9 comparables or how many you selected on the map. And those are the ones here with the dollar signs. All those little dots you see in the background, the red, yellow, green, those are all the additional listings that are currently on your MLS right now. And the reason why they're on there are for the what if scenario. So a lot of times you're at a listing presentation and the seller might say, hey, Greg, there's actually a house for sale on Goleta Point Drive right now. Why aren't you including that as a comp? And if you don't have an interactive presentation and you're sitting there with something printed, right? Now it derails your presentation. I got to log into the MLS unless I remember everything about that home and why I didn't pick it. You don't want your presentation derailed. Everything's at your fingertips. I can simply say at this point, oh, do you mean this house? And then I can click on it and then I can explain to them, why I didn't pick it. Oh yeah, I remember this home. First of all, it's 82% larger than your house. It's completely been redone and you guys haven't touched your home since 1982. Of course, you'd never say that, but you might be thinking that. Now, if it makes sense to include it, you can certainly toggle it on. So you can see the toggle switch there and here. So what's nice is throughout live CMA, you have the ability to add and remove comps on the fly to help better tell your story, which is obviously getting to the suggested list price that you want them to agree to. And the last way to view these would be the list view. And this is a nice, simple list of all your comps. And anywhere you are within live CMA, if you need a refresher on what the photos look like, how these properties differ from the subject property, I can just click on any of these and it pulls up the property details page. Now, to navigate from the comparables to my next section, I don't have to go back to the grid. I already have it lined up in the order I like. So if I go down the bottom and click average pricing, it's going to take me right to my average pricing page. So you can say I have 6 closed, 2 actives, 1 active under contract and expired. And even if I click on any of these bars, the corresponding property is going to pull up that's been represented in that particular bar graph. Next section after this for me is average price per square foot. So what this is going to show is a trend line representing the average price per square foot for all the sold listings. Now, if you notice, there's one listing in here kind of at the bottom that's a little bit inside and outside the trend line. If you click on any of these, you have the ability to remove it, and that's going to affect the trend line and also my price per square foot. So again, even on the charts and graphs, you can add and remove properties in order to better tell your story. Same thing with the time to sell. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is remove this comp at the top. This is the one I just added, which obviously doesn't belong. So let's get rid of that. And then what you're seeing here are sold properties or active properties. For example, here's a sold that we listed here and then they ended up selling down here. Here's a property that's pending, and here's a property that ended up just having to withdraw. And of course, the longer we are on the market, the more chances we're going to have to reduce our price. And of course, we don't want any of this stuff happening to us. We want to be in this grouping over here. And I can click on any of these and I can see how many days on market. So this was 57 days on market and ended up selling at about 92% of list price. Now, if you're going to email this to your client, they may get to this page and maybe not be able to decipher it right away. So you can let them know that there's a little information button at the top of all of your charts and graphs that'll provide a summary and also a video on how to read those. Same thing with the next page. We have the online valuation. Greg just talked about it. I'm not going to go into too much detail again because this is the Zestimate page that Greg was covering, showing how far off the Zestimate can be with a little instruction. I do have a quick tip though on this. On the print version of this, we do have, I have talked to agents that have actually mailed that out to their farm. Everybody in your farm knows what the Zestimate is. Why not mail this out with a cover letter that says you're the expert? They should be coming to you for home values and not going to Zillow, and then give a reason why by showing these types of statistics, right? This would actually even make a good Facebook post. You could do a live CMA with only this page, right? And then you could boost it or post it to Facebook as a way to drive interest, right? And get conversation going. So, you know, a lot of agents obviously use Cloud CMA in their listing presentations, but you can effectively use it proactively to go after and generate business as well. All right, next section for me is the estimated market value, which I think would be typically the last section in any agent's listing presentation, which is showing my suggested list price. So if you've included one, it'll show up at the top, whether that's a single value or a value range. If you did not include one, it will simply be blank, and then you can just type that number directly into the estimated sale price. And then something that's really cool, you can build pages for Cloud CMA that can play videos, multimedia. So I have a bunch of agents giving testimonials here on Cloud CMA. I mean, maybe you want to put a virtual tour in there. So the ability to add multimedia, you know, really enhances the CMA experience. And it's been interesting since we've seen, this has been out in the wild now for a little over a month. I've seen some interesting reports. I've seen agents take all comps out and they build a CMA that just talks about me and my company, and that's their pre-listing pack, and they send a live CMA ahead of time. I've seen agents build live CMAs that are only about myself. It's like a brochure. It's like a little mini website about myself, and they post it online. So I think as this evolves and more agents are using it, we'll see these kind of out of the box ways that agents are utilizing the live CMA feature. Now, I did mention emailing, so very quickly, I know that my question might come up. How do you do that? Click on your photo, email the report, or if you're back in Cloud CMA, click on this little 3-dot icon and you can simply copy and paste it and send it out. Now, anything you email out of Cloud CMA, you can hover over and you can see how many times it's been viewed, when was the last time it's viewed, and when was the last time there was any kind of update made to it. I hope you guys like that. This is brand new. I know it's been around for a little over a month, but some of you may have missed the view live button being added to your reports. I will pause here, Davina, if there's any questions that have come up, feel free to ask me. I know my cutoff time is around 3:30. We may have time to talk a little bit about streams and MLX, but I thought it was important to highlight Cloud CMA Live today. And also take a moment to get a drink.
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple of questions in the Q&A portion here. So it looks like someone is asking about the suggested list price section, and can it be ranged from a dollar amount, and does that have to be set?
Good question. So you have the option of putting a single value or a value range in. And actually, when you're creating your CMA, we give you some suggested ranges as well that some agents use too.
Awesome. All right, and then we have another one who, well, same question actually. So if anyone else has any more questions, please feel free to type them in now. And if there's no more, then we can wrap this up, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate y'all taking the time. You know, like I mentioned before, there are 2 other products that are member benefits for all of you on the call, Cloud MLX and Cloud Streams. Just a quick nutshell for those. Cloud Streams are listing alerts, auto prospecting that just look fantastic, and they can go through text. I think that's a huge benefit to a buyer if you can text them an alert automatically when a property hits the market, because they're certainly going to get that quicker than anything coming out of email. And then Cloud MLX just makes the entire MLS search and experience much more modern, basically turning your MLS experience into like a Google search bar, a single search where you can just simply type and things will happen. I'm going to put my email up here on the screen, and I'm happy to walk anybody through any of those and do like a kind of like a one-on-one. And I'm also on those one-on-ones, I can talk a little bit about Homebeat. I didn't cover it today, but essentially what Homebeat allows you to do is upload your contacts into Cloud CMA, and then they automatically get CMAs that look just like live CMA. They automatically get them on a scheduler. So Greg had mentioned earlier that only 12% of people work with agents again. Well, it's a lot of times they forget who you are if you're not keeping in touch. So this is the way to utilize a program that you already have to stay top of mind with your sellers and your buyers. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome.
We certainly appreciate it. So thank you so much, Shane, and then thank you also, Greg and Judy. So now we are going to move on, and we are going to announce our second raffle winner of the day. So this raffle winner is going to be receiving a copy of The Art of the CMA, as well as a Ring indoor and outdoor camera. So that's like an awesome security system. You can put it on your door and you can check it from your phone. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's great. So second raffle winner for these two items is Victoria Curtis. Congratulations, Victoria. We can, if you want to go and accept your awards, feel free to right now.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, congratulations. All right, so we'll be in contact shortly with you regarding shipping info, and we'll send that your way. All right, so now I would like to invite on Dyna Lara and Gustavo Rodriguez, our CEO and COO, for our closing remarks.
Thank you. There's Gustavo.
Thank you, Dominic.
Wow,
great, wasn't
what
it?
a day,
I
right?
know it was. 2 days, 2 awesome days. Great panelists, Greg Robertson. That was good.
I'm telling you, I mean, it's some incredible information. There's Greg. You know, I almost feel like
Gustavo,
Greg,
how's it going, buddy?
Good, nice to see you.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
we need some of Greg's jokes to finish this off. Let's see, do you have any good ones for us here, Greg? Come on.
Sure. Okay, how many realtors does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
10, but I'll take 8.
Okay.
Is this on? Is this on?
Wait, what?
Is this on? Is this on?
All right. You got to give us another one. Come on.
One more.
That's
That's actually Davine. That's the only one he knows.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Shane would know. He's been with me too long.
Shane. Oh my gosh. Do you have to put up with this every day with him? I'm telling you.
16 years of this, yes.
I'm telling you. Oh my God. Well, you know, this has been.
It's been a great event.
It has been.
And you know something, Dyna, if you allow me just to say,
sure.
This cannot be done without our excellent team, staff, you know, yes. Dominic, Michael, Carmen, and especially Lynn Coleman,
yes,
who's the head of the project. So,
well, are they all here? Can we see their faces? Get them on. I was going to do that. If we can get them on, Carmen, Lynn, Michael, Dominic. Let me see these faces. Here's Lynn. Here's Dominic, that infamous voice. We have Carmen. I took away her thunder today. She was supposed to introduce me, but there she is. Is Michael on here? Where's Michael? There's Lynn. There. Beautiful Lynn. And Carmen. Say hello, Carmen.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming.
And here comes Michael. Hi, Michael. So this is my incredible team. And, you know, Gustavo, he's very humble and doesn't want to take that stage himself. But without the leadership of you, Gustavo, this wouldn't have happened either. So big round of applause to my team. Awesome job, everybody. Thank you so much for putting this on Tech Connect Virtual. We're glad to do this today. And what a great job you did, and great panels. There will be more. We've been taking notes. There will be more panels and more discussion to come. So thank you very much. And we appreciate everybody here. Somebody has asked to put Greg Robertson's contact and phone number. If we can, Greg, if you want to, if you're still with us here, go ahead and type it in there in the chat. I will
Sure.
be sending all attendees Greg's personal cell number and address. Please feel free to drive by and TP his house if you like. Sorry.
Next time I see you.
Next time I see you.
I know. But yeah, Greg and I go way back, so he'll get me back sooner or later.
Has Divine ever sang for you guys? Have you ever heard her sing before?
Oh.
Pretty amazing.
I got video, so I'm just going to say that.
I'll
put that out there.
Trained opera singer.
He keeps saying he has the video, and one day I have a feeling it's going to show. It's on Betamax somewhere, right? Do they still make Betamax?
Exactly.
I don't know, but yes. Bit of trivia. I did sing at the old Arrowhead Pond or something now, years and years ago.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no more questions, I think we see there's 2 in there. Did we take what is email or more? All right. So yes.
Yeah, we're going to be posting the recordings on breachmls.com website. So just go www.breachmls.com.
Yes. All right. So we will sign off again. Thank you, Bridge MLS team. Thank you to our speakers. And we will see you all soon. And
See you soon. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Don't forget the art of the CMA, and all our directors are getting it and far and wide. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Colin.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.